Cool, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining Guvera today, and we're going to have hopefully a very lively and interesting debate around the future of music, and with my incredibly talented and respected panelists here today. Now, the objective of today is to actually give you an inside look at music and media and the space of branded entertainment. So my panelists have been carefully selected to give you a full view of the space. And we have a label representative. We also have a creative ad tech partner. We also have a couple of artists. And unfortunately, our client, who is unable to make it, won't be with us today. But I would like to throw the floor open and invite you to share your experiences or any kind of experiences you've had with music strategy or any campaigns in the branded entertainment space, just to kind of close the circle. So we'll try and keep it a little bit lively and interactive, and feel free just to answer questions as we go through, should any of our panelists throw up things that you want more clarity around. I'm going to introduce the panel now, and to my left, your right, I'm going to start with Phil Cotteraro. And is that all right? Can everyone hear me a bit better? All right. So Mr. Cotteраro's extraordinary career started with his executive breakthrough at an Island Records, where he helped break U2 into the US market in the early 80s. In 86, Richard Branson recruited him to launch the Virgin Records, where he became CEO. And he has also been influential in launching the careers of artists such as Smashing Pumpkins, Lenny Kravitz, Paula Abdul, and Spice Girls, among others. In 97, Phil was named president of Warner Brothers Records, where he personally signed such artists as Linkin Park and Josh Groban. He's been instrumental and involved in the careers of other acts, including the Rolling Stones, Madonna, Janet Jackson, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Prince, and Green Day. He also had a hand when he was at EMI Music, where he guided the careers of Coldplay, Norah Jones, and many others. To Phil's left, we have Maria Garcia, who is from F-Sharp LATAM. She is the account director for Latin America and is in charge of a rich media solutions partner for music service globally, including us, Guvera. She's had experience leading marketing campaigns for global brands such as insight-driven strategies, with a speciality in digital media and social marketing. Clients include the Marriott International, Copa Airlines, A&E, Walmart, FBI, and United Way. To Maria's left, we have two amazing artists with us, joining us today. We've got Chris Fafan from Movistrip and Nama Bergston, and they will be sharing the artist perspective from branded entertainment and the things that they're busy with these days as well. So I guess I'd just like to start with Phil on our left, and Phil is managing director of 440RT record label, which Guvera has now set up. And I wanted to invite you just to talk about the strategy around why a music streaming business would start a record label.
The question was asked, I asked the question when Guvera, as a music streaming company, asked if I'd be interested in heading up a music label, because that's my background, and I said, well, I'm very happy to do that. I need to understand why we would do something like that. Guvera, we have spent the last few years building a company that we think delivers a different and better delivery system for consumers. We think it's a platform that brings a better music experience. The logical flip side of that would be to run artists through who could prove the model. And the model we're trying to prove is that the ultimate consumer experience, the ultimate fan experience, is to be able to consume more of their favorite artists through their favorite brands. So by connecting the brand and the artist, we think that we're bringing a richer, different, better experience to the user. So we had the platform was built with Guvera. We started growing our user base. The only seat at the table that was not filled yet was the artist. So we are now looking to sign artists into the platform through 440RT, which is the name of the record company. But we want to identify artists who we think can really meet the criteria and develop a special relationship with their fans through the use of the best available brands that connect the two.
With all the technological advancement today in digital media, we've brought on Maria, our specialist, who will chat to you a little bit about native advertising and the part it plays within music streaming.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so what we focus on at F Sharp is creating experiences that are relevant to the user within the space that they're in. So if they're already within a music space, the result that the brand is going to enable is a playlist, exclusive content, things that are related to music. I can give you an example that we did with Adidas, where Adidas wanted to connect to their consumer through music. And so we partner up with a music service and a running API, and we created an experience where the user would put in an artist that they liked, the pace that they run, and where they lived. And the result was a personalized playlist with a suggested route, and the playlist was, the time that it would take them to run with that pace. So, and the result that we've seen is incredible engagement to, almost to 60% at some point, and shares. So.
And Chris and Nama, I just wonder if you could talk a little bit about your involvement with brands today.
Well, this is the first time I'm going to speak in English to a lot of people. So, we are from Peru. It's a country where the music industry isn't developed. So, for us as musicians, it's really important to be really professional in our work and separate that part of being an artist and be like a businessman. That's really difficult. But it's the only way for an artist in Latin America to develop their career, to be like ¿cómo se dice autogestionarte? Autosufficient. Self-sufficient in your career. So if we as an artist expect someone is going to come to us with like a fairy tale, and you're in your room writing music and you're waiting for that chance, that's not going to happen, never. So you have to go and present yourself to all of you on the brands and be as much really professional on that. So for us, the branding part is more important that the brands put the money in the industry than in the band. So you can develop platforms for us to reach the people and connect with them in other ways. Because radio in Latin America and Peru for example, you put radio and you listen to Bryan Adams, Queen, Michael Jackson, all 20 years old, more than 20 years old musicians. So new music have no chance. So we need other platforms to get people know our music. So this kind of alliances between brands, platforms as Guvera is perfect for us. So we can reach tons of people and be happy. So in Peru now we have like two major brands focusing on music, and that's going to open opportunity for us and for a lot of musicians to develop our careers. So.
I guess we've seen the differences here between a record label plus the digital media delivery platform and the artist's perspective. I wonder, Phil, if you could talk a little bit about what do you see as the best ways that forward as the innovations for brand partnerships in music?
The ultimate game for putting an artist with a brand is that they have a shared community of fans or consumers. The perfect relationship is where a brand and an artist share the same demographic and psychographic fans. When you might remember a Sting commercial where he was sitting in the back of a Jaguar many years ago. Well, I'm one of the guys that did the deal where we put Sting in the back of the Jaguar. Sting enjoyed the ride in the Jaguar. Jaguar was happy to have Sting. The record did well, but there was no symbiotic relationship between those two. And when the campaign was done, so was the relationship. Fast forward to 3 years ago, there's an artist that I signed at Virgin. I can't tell you, I'll tell you a very quick story, but I can't tell you who the artist is because of the way the story ended. I think you've heard this already. But there was a big artist at Virgin that we signed, and the Virgin deal was coming up, and he said, Phil, should I re-sign with Virgin? And I said, well, the problem is the way the record companies are today, they can only give you maybe $1 million in marketing, and after that, you're on your own. And he said, well, what should I do? And I said, well, I got an idea. Give me 24 hours. So I went to my friend who at the time was running Quicksilver. I think I've told Carlos this story. And the guy at Quicksilver said, and they happen to be, the artist is somebody who is a surfer type artist, you know, beachy, California. It was the same consumer as Quicksilver has in all their apparel globally. And I said to the CEO of Quicksilver at the time, I've got this artist. How would you like it if you put up the cost of making the record, which at the time was maybe $400,000 or $500,000. I said, and for the first 90 days of the album, you will own the record. You'll be in a rev share with the artist, and you put him in your spring campaign, and this artist's song will be on your hang tag, right behind the price tag, be in your social campaign, your television campaign, your radio campaign, everywhere, for 90 days. On the 91st day, I take the album back, I'll put it out to the general public, we'll put 2 new songs on it, and then it's between the artist and the distribution company. And I said, so you'll make all the money for the first 90 days with the artist, and you'll own him exclusively for your brand. Well, he loved it. And as I was driving back to Los Angeles, I called him and I said, I forgot to ask you, what is your spring campaign's value? What do you spend on a spring campaign at Quicksilver? And at that time he said, probably north of $65 million. Wow. So I call up the artist and I said, meet me for coffee in the morning, but here's the deal. Instead of your $1 million campaign at Virgin, I can get you a $65 million campaign at Quicksilver. You'll be talking to the right consumer. You'll be sharing your fans, and after 90 days, we'll put it in the general market. Oh my God, Phil, that's unbelievable. I said, okay, great. Let's meet in the morning, put it together. He shows up in the morning, and I say, you ready to make the deal? He says, no, I can't make the deal. I said, why can't you make the deal? My wife wants the $1 million advance. So that's why I can't tell you who the artist was. But the story is important because that's the future of how we're going to deliver music to fans, by piggybacking with the brands who share the same consumers.
Nama, I recall you were mentioning you were talking to a major makeup brand. Can you tell us a little bit about that conversation?
Yeah, so during our relatively short time that we've been putting shows in Lima and the States, we get some interest from different things. Usually it's like fashion. Now I was called to a meeting 2 weeks ago from one of the biggest cosmetic companies, and they wanted us to launch one of their new perfumes that's coming out now, which was really nice. And that's maybe something we'll do specifically about now. I don't know if we can make it because we're actually going to be in LA in 2 weeks doing a show, and that's going to be on that at that time. But yes, we definitely have a lot of like brand interest. Peruvian, and in this example also like a worldwide brand, which we think is great as long as it coincides with the image that we want to project or with the identity that we have as an artist. We've also had some fashion designers known in Peru come to us to basically give us make our look. But we tend to sometimes turn things down because we have to think seriously about the identity of the band. And so if it doesn't coincide, then it can't go with the band. It's part of the strategic planning.
And I suppose, Phil, that speaks to having the objectives of an artist and a brand align, and making sure that the creative, I suppose, inspiration align also. What have you had an experience in terms of where there've been mismatches, or have you ever had to sort of talk an artist round towards a brand, and how have you sort of felt? Have you had any examples of this?
I think that in the beginning, when the physical music market started to fall apart, it was very difficult to convince almost any artist that they should have a brand relationship, because they thought that what they were creating was art, and any relationship with any consumer brand was a compromise of their art. So it was very tough in the beginning to make those kind of deals because artists could not imagine their art sharing a space with an automobile or with any consumer brand really. But as the physical business became more difficult and as the online business became more vibrant and more of a reality over the last 15 years, artists are realizing that the way they have to sell music went from being something you bought on a disc for $10 to something that was stolen, and now it's back to you can stream a lot of music for not so much money. So the value of music is changing, and the value of the relationship that music gets delivered in is changing. So what was once tough is not so tough anymore.
Maria, Phil mentioned the sort of the evolution of the digital space in terms of music and artists. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the changing behavior of consumers online.
Right, absolutely. For LATAM, of course, mobile is number one. So a lot of what we've been creating have been mobile-first initiatives. So and we try to involve things that have to do more with the consumers' lifestyles, being that millennials are the ones that are mostly in this space. So the type of experiences that we're creating, for example, have a music API, but also a cooking type of application. So we would suggest cooking tunes and a recipe. So those are the type of things that we're doing in mobile. I can talk a little bit about innovation in audio. That's, I think that's really something that's evolving a lot. One is the access to headphones and the high fidelity. So advertisers can really create audio spots that have very like 3D sound, or that you can hear from one ear to the other. Also, some of our partners that we work with are creating vocal recognition ads where the brand and the consumer can actually have a conversation. So we're not only using the speaker to talk to the brand, but also the consumer can reply back and say, send now, offer now, and more and more, I think this is some of the things that we're seeing.
Phil, I wonder what kind of things are happening in the label area in terms of innovation?
Well, in the label side, the delivery part is the innovation part. So the platforms and the delivery devices are the innovation. But on as far as what music companies and record companies are, we are in the content business. So we're always looking for music that we think we're going to connect on. I think the holy grail ultimately is going to be this. What we've learned how to do is deliver a lot more music to a lot more people through brands and through the platforms. But at the end of the day, the holy grail for a music company is how do you bring to market and exploit new artists? How do you break through with a new artist? So once we become more adept with our brand relationships and how we speak to their consumers and our fans through the brands, I think the next piece of the puzzle, the next big piece is how can the brands help us identify and break a developing artist and a new artist. Once we learn how to do that, I believe the brands will own the music space.
If I can add to that, so that's a lot of what we focus on as Sharp. So we already, through the music service, we already know what the user is actually listening to, so we can have their music analyzed, and then the result can be emerging artists or similar artists that actually they can like, or for them to discover music. So a lot of the music discovery and enabling new artists is a big focus as well.
Chris, I know you've been talking to a bank recently about supporting some of the endeavors you've been doing. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what you're doing with them right now.
No, the example is that this bank is doing something really important for the industry in Peru. They created this platform, this radio that is playing on all their agencies, like 300 agencies in Peru. It's the first time that like a big brand focus in music in Lima. So for all the artists, it's a really good exposure because people when enter the agency, they're listening to Peruvian bands. And this is amazing. This is like the first step from them to, what we have in Lima is like we're known by gastronomy for our food, no? So that side of the market was really organized and professional because all the chefs and all that restaurants are organized and the brands put their eyes on gastronomy. So they put money there and they built an industry of food in Peru. Now they're trying to do that with music. So it's amazing, and I know that is the first step of this brand, and other brands are going to follow because that's the way. You have a big one, and then the other ones are going to put there. So for us as an artist, it's a really good platform to exposure with music.
I'm just going to pause there and just throw it open to the audience and just see if there's anyone out there who wouldn't mind asking a question to our panelists.
Hi. You now have like 350 streaming services which are legal in the world, so it's a quite huge market and difficult to compete. Question is, in terms of marketing, offline, tangible marketing directly with the client, what kind of things you do?
So a lot of what we've done has been online initiative driving to an offline event. So promoting a new artist, you can use online to really launch their new CD or their new song and then take them to an offline event where it's the release party or whatnot. That's some of the things that we've been doing offline, but there always is that connection with online as well, as that's how you're going to reach your target.
And I guess that's so important, that live experience element within any kind of campaign. So I wonder, Nama, if you could talk to a little bit about how that sort of is for you when you're working with a brand, that live experience.
Well, there's a lot of thinking behind everything that we would put out, if it was an EP or if it's a show. Or if it's a post, anything that we would do with anybody else has to, like I said before, coincide with what we want to project. And this is in a band, and that would be the clothes, that would be the art that we have, which is a huge part. It's all meetings, visions. It's developed very in a business-like way. So we have, they would make presentations, and we would. We would shoot like words that we have in our head that we want to always match to that. I don't know if that answers your question.
I wonder if there's any clients or brands out there that want to share a case study or a campaign that they might have worked on or with us today. No? That's fine. Just moving right along, we could talk a little bit about where do you see the line between artists feel selling out and becoming brand ambassadors?
At the end of the day, every artist needs to be associated with a brand that's going to give them a bigger or better experience with their consumers. And at the end of the day, a brand is only going to get involved with an artist who's going to bring value to their brand. At the end of the day, Ferrari or Coke is only going to engage with a celebrity who either sells more cans of Coke or more Ferraris. And that's fine, because that's their job and that's their obligation to their shareholders. So the place you sell out is when you make a deal that puts a check in your pocket that can't deliver a result for your fans.
I think that the industry has changed so much that the artists have to create new revenue streams. And now when an artist is associated with a brand, it's not like selling out or as of a pod, it's kind of normal. So I think more and more you're going to be seeing it. But the good thing about all this technology is that we can, and there's so many micro genres. Now it's not just pop and hip hop and reggae or whatnot. Now there's all these different micro genres that you can really target the specific brand and the specific artist that really mix well together.
Well, that's almost our time up. I would like to just throw it open again just for any other questions before we wrap up today. I wonder if we've got any takers.
Phil, are you happy about the resurgence of vinyl coming back into the music industry?
I'm happy vinyl's back, but of course I would be. You know, the thing that's interesting is that I've got 4 sons, and three of them are teenagers. So what they're beginning to realize is that they're listening their whole life to music through these little bitty earbuds, which compresses about 90% of what's been recorded down to 90% of it is compressed out of what they hear. And kids are realizing that 90% of the music that got recorded in studio never makes it to their ears because of the way they're listening. So it's kids that are driving the vinyl surge because they want to hear the other 90%, which I think is great because they're finding it on their own and they're hearing things that music they've fallen in love with for the first time when they hear it. They could hear it 5 years later on vinyl and it's like they're hearing it for the first time. So that's pretty exciting.
It's not a question but a comment, but it's interesting that now it's changing how we see music and how we see artists, because they're not just musicians, but now they are, like, their name is so important. For example, us in Puma, we have Rihanna now, and she's not a singer. For us, she is our creative director. She is inspiration for women. She trains a lot to have a nice body, so it's part of our campaign. So I think that it's changing the way how we see and perceive not only music, but musicians and artists in a whole different way. And because before we had TV and radio, but now we have these mobile devices which we see, or we can take our music with us. But it's very interesting, and I just wanted to make that out. But it's.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hello again. The question I have now is like between advertising an artist and how much profit this artist is doing by streaming. You know, like it's both channels. It's a channel for being famous. It's a channel for making money. How you conduce this balance when you are negotiating with labels or directly with artists?
Give me the question again. How do you, on the money between the label and the... Oh, I see what you're saying. So if an artist enters into a relationship with a brand, how much of the consideration is about getting the check and how much of it is about promotional? That has a lot to do with where the artist is in their development. For a younger artist, they want to get in front of as many people as they can, as fast as they can, and if they can get aligned with a big brand, they'll do it for almost nothing because of the opportunity. In a big developed artist, they may feel like they don't need the opportunity. They would rather have the financial consequence. So every case is different. Well, the truth is, you say, okay, so the question is, as a label, how do you perceive it for the average artist? The truth is, in a lot of those deals, the label doesn't participate. The deal is between the brand and the artist, okay? The deal is between the brand and the artist. The benefit to the label is that the artist that they have signed to sell music on their label is going to benefit by selling more music. That's the benefit. But the label usually is not a participant in the revenue in those deals. Dumb label, huh? That's why the record business is not the record business anymore. That's why it's now called the poopy business.
I guess just on from that, I mean, revenue is increasing from things like merchandise and live performances, and where does this leave the small emerging artists or acts? where does this leave the smaller or emerging artists when most of the revenues coming in now is from live and merchandise?
Yeah. From live, or if a brand associate your image to a brand, they pay you, and but now it's playing live. Selling records, it's really small. So, and streaming is promotion for artists. So it's easier for people hear music, listen to music. So for us as an artist, if many people have more music, it's best for us. And it's what Phil says. So when you're starting, you have to be more open and think smart and see what opportunity is best for your music. Maybe, for example, if you have to sing a song in a commercial or in a movie, if you're new, they pay you small. It's okay, it's promotion. So but you have, as an artist, know your value and where are you, and you know when are you going to start seeing the money. So it's part of the business, and you have to know as an artist, this is a business. You want to sell music, and you need to be more open to these opportunities for the music. You know, the artist side, and that was a lot of years ago. Now you have to be really smart and professional on this, and be kind of businessman in managing your career. So if you're not the way, you are not going to eat. So.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think more and more from my experience that brands, even big brands, Pepsi Music, Corona, they have tours dedicated to emerging artists, Smirnoff, and they want to, also their budgets are sometimes limited in Latin America, so you want to associate yourself with new artists that are emerging and, make you a little bit cooler as you're discovering that new artist. So I've seen a lot of interest from brands that want to have that association with smaller artists.
I think we've probably got time for one more question, or otherwise you're welcome to chat to our panelists afterwards. They might be here for just a few extra moments. But I'd like to thank the panelists for joining me on stage today, and thank you guys for coming along and listening.